Hello everyone, welcome to Anytime Yoga. Thanks for joining me today. Let's jump in to talk about universal principles of alignment. So far we have learned about open to grace, muscle energy, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about inner and outer spiral. So inner and outer spiral, the purpose of spiraling is to support our alignment. So it's kind of that next refining level. So the two most important ones to really hone in on when you're practicing is your foundation, setting your foundation through open to grace, inner body brightness, and then hugging into midline, hugging in skin to muscle to bone for muscle energy. And then once you're in the pose, or as you're settling into the pose, we'll be thinking about spiraling. And there's a lot we could talk about for this, so this is just an introduction. So inner outer spiral. Inner spiral, think about it as moving toward your heart, moving into your heart, protecting your heart. And this is hugging into your heart and expanding your back body. So an over-exaggerated inner spiral would be like hunching inward, protecting, and then you see your back body's expanding, right? And it's connected to your midline. So we're hugging in first and then protecting the heart. Okay, so inner spiral, outer spiral, we're contracting. So we're opening the heart, we're opening away from the heart, and we're contracting the back body. So we're drawing our shoulder blades toward one another. So inner and outer. And we can think about this not just in our upper body, but our lower body, of where are your toes pointed, inward or outward. So if you're thinking about sitting into chair, when you're setting your foundation, getting strong through your legs, are your legs parallel? Are you hugging in, or are you moving outward? And a part of understanding this alignment of inner outer is to then find the balance between the two, not over exaggerating on either. We want to be connected to both the inner and outer spiral. The inner spiral is more connected to the muscle energy, and the outer spiral is more connected to expansion, organic energy, a UPA we have not gotten to yet. So that's a very fast review of it. The purpose is to give you a little bit more languaging to think about as we're aligning our bodies and our hearts. So let's now move to today's practice, which I'm excited about because we'll be integrating a lot of what we've learned this session so far, and flowing between different peak poses that we've been learning. So go ahead and find a comfortable seated pose. Root your sits bones into your foundation, palms facing down for groundedness, up for more openness. Get strong through your core, long through your spine, shoulder blades on your back. Shine bright through the crown of your head. Close your eyes or lower your gaze and begin to notice your breath. Invite your breath past your throat, past your heart, deep down into your belly. Letting your body expand and contract with each inhalation and exhalation. Take this time to check in with yourself, check in with your body, your heart, and your mind, noticing with curiosity, acknowledging without judgment. I invite you to set an intention a word or a phrase you can return to, whether you are on your mat or off your mat, for encouragement, self-compassion, kindness. On your next breath, raise your hands above your head, meeting your palms together, and exhale your hands to your heart. Let's start class by joining our voices together for 1 Om. Take a deep inhale. Exhale HA. And inhale for Om. Gently release your hands, softly blink open your eyes, shrug your shoulders, turn your head side to side. And then root down back into center. Inhale your hands high and exhale, twist to your right, lengthening through your spine, shining bright through the crown of your head. And back to center and over to your left. Deep breaths. Lengthening, expanding. Back to center, one more time on your right side. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, HA. Back to center, over to your left. Deep inhale. Exhale, HA. And back to center. Exhale your hands to your heart. Transition to tabletop pose. Use any props that you see necessary for yourself. Open to grace, set your foundation. Shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. Root your fingers and your knuckles into your mat. Then begin to move through cat-cow. Moving through whichever variation feels best for you in this moment. At any point, move through different variations, waking up your joints, warming up your spine. Flow with your breath. And meet back in center. Root down, shoulder blades on your spine. Inhale your right arm high to the sky. And then bring your right hand between your knee and your left arm. Right shoulder down to your mat. Threading the needle, forehead down to your mat. Pause here. You can come to your spider fingers on your left hand. Pause. And then if you want to continue, extend your left arm skyward. And then lower back down, root down, rise up the way you came or entered the pose, and then root your right hand back down into your mat. Second side, inhale your left arm skyward, thread the needle, second side, left shoulder to your mat, right arm, elbow skyward, right fingertips into your mat, then if you want to, extend your right arm skyward. Lower your right hand to your mat, left arm skyward, and root back down. Let's do that one more time on each side. Flow with your breath. Don't forget to breathe. Root down. Right arm extends skyward again. Second side. Left arm high. Thread the needle. Extend your right arm skyward. Lower back down. Left arm high. And lower your hand back down. Walk your hands out in front of you into spider fingers. Soften your heart toward your mat into puppy pose. Breathing deeply. Draw your lower ribs back toward your spine, then soften your heart again toward your mat. Inhale, rise. Walk your spider fingers off your mat to your right. Soften your heart toward your mat. Puppy, side puppy. Staying long through your side bodies. And back to center. And over to your left. Soften your heart. Side puppy, second side. And inhale back to center. Draw your chest forward. Modified chaturanga. Draw your shoulder blades onto your spine. Strong core. Hug your forearms energetically toward one another. Set your foundation. As you lower, keep your elbows beside your ribs. Land with your chest. Bend your hips. Tops of your feet root into your mat. Hug in and rise up into cobra. Lower back down. Get strong and rise back up, even through your body. Sink back into puppy. Let's do that again. Inhale forward. Exhale lower. Inhale rise up. Variation spider fingers to the sides of your mat. And lower back down. Root down. Rise up. And sink back into puppy pose. Inhale your chest forward, come into plank pose, lifting your knees off your mat, shoulder blades on your spine, hugging into midline. Energetically draw your forearms towards one another. Strong core, lift your hips, downward facing dog. Bend your knees as much as you need to. Set your foundation, long arms, long spine. Walk your dog, bending your knees, moving your hips side to side. Then meet back in neutral. Inhale your right leg high. Draw your knee to your nose. Take as many steps as you need to root down before rising up into crescent lunge. Front knee over, front ankle. Exhale, flow in cactus arms. Inhale your hands high. Exhale your hands to your heart center. Step your back foot forward just a wee bit, rooting your entire back foot into your mat at a 45-degree angle. Keep your hips closed and moving forward in the same direction. This is Warrior 1 foot placement. Warrior 2, we open our hips. We have our foot at a 90-degree angle. Warrior 1, hips are moving in the same direction forward, 45-degree angle with your back foot. And you can always bring your feet closer to one another or further apart depending. But you want your whole back foot rooted down. Strong core. Inhale your hands high, rooting down into Warrior 1. We're going to move straight into Warrior 3 from Warrior 1. So root down with your front foot and then rise up, lifting your left foot back and high behind you. Keep your hips even, shoulder blades on your back. Arms can be beside your hips or out in front of you or hands at your heart center. Engage your toes, lifting your heel high, pointing your toes toward your mat. Then bend your knee, rise up into high knee, sit into temple, root down, ankle over knee. Keep your toes engaged, drawing your left toes toward your left shin. Breathing deeply. And rise up. We're going to exit the same way we entered. Step back into warrior 3. Warrior 1. Step back, pressing your foot into your mat. And then rise up to crescent lunge. Nice work. Exhale your hands down to your mat. Step back, 3-legged dog. Lift your right foot high. Bend your lifted knee. Open through your hip. Scorpion dog. Let's do that one more time, a little faster. Draw your knee to your nose, root your right foot into your mat. Rise up into crescent lunge. Exhale, cactus arms. Inhale, high. Exhale, hands to your heart. Step into warrior 1. Foot alignment. Check your alignment of your hips. Root down. Rise up into warrior 3. Take a deep breath here. High knee, temple pose, left ankle over right knee. Rise up, high knee, warrior 3. Step back into warrior 1 and meet in crescent lunge. Beautiful. Exhale your hands down to your mat. Step back, 3-legged dog. Lower your foot to your mat. And yogi's choice, pause in downward dog, move through chaturanga, or rest in child's pose. Yogi's choice. Meeting back in downward facing dog. Let's move through our second side. You know where we are headed. Inhale your left leg high. Bend your lifted knee. Open through your hips, scorpion dog. And draw your knee to your nose. Root your left foot between your hands. Root down, rise up into crescent lunge. Flow through cactus arms 2 to 3 times, flowing with your breath. Inhale your hands high. Exhale your hands to your heart. Step your back foot forward, 45-degree angle, warrior 1, second side. Notice your hip alignment. Scissor your legs together, hips facing the same direction. Root down from warrior 1, moving straight into warrior 3. So notice that your lower ribs are drawn back toward your spine. We're not jutting our ribs out, drawing them back, shoulder blades on your spine. Root down, rise up, warrior 3. Notice your toes. Notice your shoulder blades. Hug into midline. Turn your gaze toward your mat. Shine bright through the crown of your head. High knee. Draw your high knee high. It's okay to wobble. It's okay to fall out. Step back in when you're ready and sit into temple second side. Right ankle over left knee. Draw your right toes toward your shin. Don't forget to breathe as you're concentrating. Soften through your eyes, soften through your jaw. And rise up into high knee, warrior 3, and step back into warrior 1. Meeting in crescent lunge. Exhale your hands down to your mat. Root down, step back, 3-legged dog. Scorpion dog, bend your lifted knee, open through your hip. And draw your knee to your nose. Let's move through that again. Root down to rise up into crescent lunge. Cactus arms. Inhale high. Exhale your hands to your heart. Step forward, rooting your back foot into warrior 1. Root down before rising up into warrior 3. Notice your alignment. Hug in to midline. High knee. Temple pose. Right ankle over left knee. Breathing deeply. Inhale high. Exhale warrior 3. step back into warrior one and meet in crescent lunge. Beautiful. Exhale your hands down to your mat. Step back, three-legged dog. Lower your foot to your mat, yogi's choice. Chaturanga, child's pose, or pause in downward facing dog. Breathing deeply. Meeting back in downward facing dog. Bend your knees as much as you need to. Look at the top of your mat. Hop or step to the top of your mat. Feet are parallel, hip distance apart, draping your upper body over your lower body. Block can be out in front of you. Grasp your elbows with your opposite hands, nodding your head yes, shaking your head no, nodding your head once again. And then release your elbows. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reverse your swan dive, rising all the way up to standing. Hands above your head. Clasp your hands, micro back bend. Back to center, crescent to your right, crescent to your left, and back to center. Exhale your hands to your heart, to your hips, or hands beside your hips, palms facing forward. Tadasana, mountain pose. Notice your foundation, rooting your feet into your mat. Feet are parallel, hip distance apart. Notice what your hips are doing. Draw them back. And then close your eyes or lower your gaze. Return to your breath. Return to your intention. Take this moment to offer your intention to yourself and to those around you. On your next breath, gently release your hands, softly blink open your eyes. Okay, we've done a lot of chair pose. I just want to talk a little bit about refining it with inner and outer spiral. Something useful to have is your block, where you can place your block between your upper legs. Your feet might end up being a little wider than hip distance apart, but that's okay. What's helpful to see here is how you're hugging in. This also connects to muscle energy, but as you're hugging in, you're creating this balance between inner and outer spiral, where you're hugging in enough, squeezing in enough where you're holding onto your block, but you don't want to squeeze so hard that it pops out behind you, right? But you also don't want to sag enough or soften enough where it just drops as well. So a couple exaggerations as you can think of, like inner spiral is turning your toes inward. That's a big exaggeration, so you can join me. Exaggerate inward and then open your feet. Exaggerate outer spiral. Inner spiral, outer spiral. So you even feel your legs moving in and out, right? The muscles are turning in, turning out, inner, outer. So even when you're in like a warrior two pose, you might notice your knee coming inward, or you might notice your knee going outward. You want to find that middle ground, that balance of where it's not falling in, where we want to hug in and have a balance of more outer spiral. So there's going to be different poses where we might fall into the inner more than the outer, or the outer more than the inner, and we want to create that balance. So feel free to try this with me. Grab your block, root your feet into your mat, hug into your block, get strong through your legs, strong through your core, shoulder blades on your spine. Inhale your hands high, exhale, sit back into chair. Continue to hug in, create that balance between inner and outer spiral. Draw your hands behind you, root down, and then rise up slowly, slowly, slowly. Open through your heart and sit deep again. Lift and spread your toes, activate through your legs, continue to hug in, and rise up. Exhale your hands to your heart. When you remove your block, let's do that again. Try to keep that same strength, that muscle energy, that inner outer spiral as you had with the block, but it's going to feel different. So root down, inhale your hands high, exhale, sit deep. Continue to have that same strength, that same alignment, just without the block. Flowing with your breath, hugging in, rising up, and exhale your hands to your heart. So that's a nice practice if you want to notice more the engagement of your legs, your muscles. Okay, so let's do more chair, but we're going to have a little mini flow of chair. We're going to move from chair to side chair into half moon. So it's kind of fun. We're just going to play with it. It's if you shake, if you feel your legs burning, if you fall out of the pose, totally fine. You can use a block, your mat, or go to a wall and do this at the wall. Okay, so let's do this together. Have your block handy, have your wall ready. Root down, get strong through your legs, strong core. Inhale your hands high, exhale, sit deep into chair. Root down, shoulder blades on your spine. Take a deep breath. And then twist over to your left, bringing your right elbow to your outer left knee. Make sure that your knees are even. If they're not, draw your left knee forward. Root down. Then bring your left hand to your left hip, right hand down to your mat or to your block. Root down into your right foot, get strong. Lift your left foot off your mat. Bring it back into kind of half warrior three. Then open through your hip, coming into half moon. It's all right to wobble. Open through your heart. You can extend your arm skyward if you want to. And then hand back to hip. Lower down, bringing your left foot back to your mat into side chair. And then back to center. Second side. Twist over to your right. And bring your right hand to your right hip, left hand down to your block or to your wall. Root down with your left foot, lift your right foot high. Step back, open through your hip, open through your heart. At any point, extend your right arm skyward, half moon. And then lower back down, right hand to right hip. Close your hips and root your right foot into your mat. Side chair and back to center. Chair pose. Release your hands behind your hips. Root down. Slowly rise, rise, rise. Open through your heart. Sink back into chair and flow 2 to 3 more times with your breath. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Nice work. Playing with half moon, side chair, and chair. Continue to activate your muscle energy and notice refining through inner and outer spiral. Last time, rooting down to rise up. And exhale your hands to your heart center. Beautiful. Transition into Malasana. So grab your towel or blanket. Grab a sip of water. Root your heels into your prop, a little wider than hip distance apart. Root down, strong legs, strong core, shoulder blades on your spine. Inhale your hands high. Exhale into skier's pose, elbows to knees. Bus stop A, pause here. If you want to continue on to Malasana, lower your hips to your heels, elbows between your knees. Lengthen through your spine. At this point, take a moment to notice what you need. Do you want a block under your booty? Do you want to have a heart opener? Do you want to move through a variation of hip mobility. Take 5 to 6 breaths to move through the flow of your choice. Take one more breath where you are, and then meet back in Malasana. Breathe deeply, and then lower all the way down to your sits bones. All right, we're gonna do a little bit of core with a really fun pose called dolphin. I really like this pose, and it is challenging for me. So it's okay to love a pose that is challenging, and that's going to look different for everyone. So as we move through this, you might find that I just love this pose, and then you might also say, this is my least favorite pose, Katie. So that's okay. We'll try it together and we'll see how it goes. So with dolphin pose, your foundation is going to be your forearms. Look at all the leaves. If you've joined me outside, you might have to remove some of the leaves falling. So the foundation in this pose is your forearms. You're going to clasp your hands together. I like to tuck my pinky into my fist. So when I root my forearms into my mat, I want to energetically hug my forearms toward one another. So I'm not bringing them actually together, but I'm pretending to really like hug in, connecting them energetically. When I step back into a forearm plank, I want to get strong through my core, even through my hips. So we don't want to sag. We also don't want to pike up yet. We want to stay nice and straight. Shoulder blades on your spine. Your gaze is over your fists right now. Pausing there. Then where we're headed is we're going to lift our hips. So lift your hips high, and then your head is between your elbows, but it is not touching your mat. So you can, bus stop A, you can just move here, piking, lifting your hips high, and going back and forth. And then into dolphin, then you walk your toes toward your elbows. Dolphin pose. You can bend your knees or you can lengthen. And then step back into plank, lower your knees, and rise up. Whew. You can really feel it, or I can really feel it. In my shoulders, in my back, in my core. It's a good little workout. So let's do this together. We will walk in and out of dolphin from plank to dolphin. At one point, you can even lift one foot and then the other foot. So let's try it together. Take a break whenever you need to. Listen to your body. You know your body best. Clasp your hands, tuck your pinky, root your forearms into your mat, hugging energetically together. Step back into plank. Hug your toes toward your elbows as if you're trying to wrinkle up your mat. Soften through your eyes, soften through your jaw. And then lift your hips. Bring the crown of your head between your elbows. Walk your toes toward your elbows. Inhale, lift right foot up high. Lower back down. Lift your left foot up high. Lower back down. And then step back into plank. Let's do that again. Hips high. Walk into dolphin. Lift one foot high. Lift your second foot high. Lower back down. Step back. Plank. And knees down to your mat. Let's rest in child's pose. Knees wide. Forehead to your block or to your mat. Hands out over your head or beside your legs or behind your neck to give your neck a little massage. 2 to 3 breaths. On your next breath, gently rise out of child's pose. If you want to play with dolphin some more, go ahead and pause and play with dolphin until you're ready to continue on. If you want to continue on with me, let's keep going. All right, root your hands into tabletop pose, step back into plank pose, and meet in downward facing dog. Root down, inhale your right leg high, draw your knee to your nose, root down to rise up all the way into warrior two. So we've made it to our peak pose almost. We're gonna flow into our peak pose. Our peak pose is Bird of Paradise. This is also one of my favorite poses. It's just unique, challenging, kind of fun to play with. So this is another pose, just play. Let your inner child come out. It's okay if you fall out of it. It's okay to choose which bus stop you wanna be moving toward as you practice this pose. We're starting warrior two, so I want you to follow along with me, and then when we get to the pose, I'll walk you through it. So warrior two, notice your alignment, set your foundation, reverse your warrior, side angle, reverse your warrior, then full side angle, bringing your left hand to your left hip, right hand to your mat or to a block. Open through your heart, extend your left arm skyward. Here's where we're gonna play with Bird of Paradise. So you could follow along, or you can pause and watch as I give you a demonstration. We're gonna move from full side angle into bind as we step into Bird of Paradise. So bind would be our first best stop. Lower your left hand behind your hip, right hand under your right leg. You can clasp your hands, or you can grab a strap to hold between them. Best stop A, you play with bind. Best stop B, step your back foot forward. So right now it's your left foot. Step your back foot forward. My hands are still clasped. And then come to your right tippy toes. Best stop B. Your toes can stay on your mat, or you can bring them to your block. Then, from here, root down, best stop C, get strong through your core, and lift your right leg high. Engage your toes, open through your heart, hug in, and then best stop D, extend your right leg, or leave it hinging back and forth. Then gently step back all the way down, root down, step back, warrior two legs, release your bind, open through your arms, and rise up. Reverse your warrior, or reverse your triangle. Warrior two. Whew. So that is where we are headed into Bird of Paradise for our peak pose. I do recommend grabbing a strap or a towel to have something to clasp between your hands. I forgot my strap, so I'm using my hands, and it is challenging. So maybe I'll find a stick or something to use next time. Okay, so go ahead and try Bird of Paradise. We'll give you a few moments to play with this, and let's try this together. I'm going to use a stick this time. So warrior two, root down, reverse your warrior, full side angle, open through your heart, come into your bind, grab your strap or your hands, root down, step your back foot forward, pause here. This is a great best stop to play back and forth with. If you want to continue on, come to your tippy toes or place your tippy toes on your block, root down, rise up, strong, 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 hugging into your muscle energy, into your midline, engage your toes, and then if you want to play with hinging your leg or lengthening through your leg, play with that. And then gently exit the same way you entered Bird of Paradise. Woo! Nice work. Beautiful, everyone. If you need to move through triangle pose, humble warrior, move through any pose that would feel good in this moment after we've done bird of paradise. Next, come back to warrior two. Windmill your hands down to your mat. Root down, step back, downward facing dog. We're going to move through our second side. I'm going to turn around so that we're facing the same way. Grab your strap. Meet in tabletop pose. Offer your body a cat-cow before we transition to our second side. Root down, and then step back into plank pose and meet in downward facing dog. Inhale your left leg high this time. Draw your knee to your nose. Root down, rise up into warrior two. Pause here. Set your foundation, open to grace. Get strong through your legs, through your core. Reverse your warrior. Side angle. Reverse your warrior. Side angle. And come back to warrior two. Let's prep for moving through full extended angle into bird of paradise. Make sure you have your strap or your towel or your stick. Front knee over front ankle, root down, right hand to right hip. You can also have your block nearby. And lower your left hand down to your mat or to your block. Right hand to your hip, open through your heart. Extend your right hand skyward. Turn your gaze toward your fingertips. Best stop A, play with bind. So bring your hand or your strap behind your hip, your right hand behind your hip, left hand under your left leg. Clasp your strap or clasp your hands. Stay open through your heart. Breathe deeply. This is best stop A, so play with this as much as you need to. Then step forward with your back foot. This time it's your right foot stepping forward toward your front foot. Back foot toward your front foot. Root down. This is best stop B. Play here as much as you want. Then come to your tippy toes of your left foot. Root down. Get strong through your core. Rise up. Engage your left toes. Open through your heart. Keep your toes engaged. Open, open, open. Soften through your eyes, soften through your jaw. And then, last best stop, extend through your left leg or hinge at your knee. Breathe deeply, and at any point, lower back down, exiting in the same direction or the same way you entered this pose. Lowering your left foot, stepping your right foot back, releasing your bind. And then rising all the way up, reversing your warrior. Beautiful. Back to warrior two. Nice work, everyone. You can reverse your triangle, move into humble warrior, offer your body whatever pose would feel best after bird of paradise, second side. I encourage you to pause and play with bird of paradise, second side. See how it feels the second time around. If you want to continue with me, inhale your hands high. Exhale, windmill your hands down to your mat. Root down, step back, downward facing dog. Walk your dog out. And then draw your chest forward into plank. Lower your knees and come all the way down to your sits bones. So that's a fun new pose, peak pose that we've learned. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have fun playing with it the rest of the week. Let's cool down together, coming all the way down to your back body. Go ahead and grab your sweater, have your blanket handy. Let's move through bridge pose. Feet are hip distance apart, upper arms rooting into your mat, robot fingers pointing skyward. Use the strength of your glutes, your pelvic floor, and your core to lift your hips skyward. Strong, strong, strong. And lower your hips back to your mat. Let's do that again. Root down, grab your block for a supported bridge. Lift your hips high, place your block under your sacrum. Root down. If you feel stable, lift your right leg high, and then your left leg. Clasp the sides of your mat, and breathe deeply. And gently lower your right leg down to your mat, followed by your left. Root down, lift your hips slightly, sliding your block to the side. Open your arms into T-pose, heel toe your feet mat distance apart, windshield wiper your legs to your right, and then over to your left. Over to your right again, and over to your left. Bring your knees back to center. Move through any other pose that would feel good for you. A pose that we've already done today, a pose that we missed that you would really like to do. Maybe four corner stretch or happy baby. And then when you are ready, start transitioning to Shavasana, corpse pose. Maybe put your socks on, grab your blanket. Extend your legs. Extend your arms beside your body. Bring your blanket over your hips for more groundedness, under the backs of your upper legs for supporting your lower back, or drape your blanket over your whole body for a little more coziness. Let your foundation fully support you, softening your eyes and your jaw, releasing your shoulders, releasing your hips, softening the backs of your knees and the backs of your ankles, returning to your regular breath. You can stay in Shavasana as long as you like, or end the session with me, letting your breath awaken your body, wiggling your fingers and your toes, stretching your arms overhead, And curl over to your right side, using the strength of your arms, lift up into seated, hands at heart center. Each of you are worthy of love and belonging, just as you are. I encourage you to go into your day offering yourself your intention and that same intention to those around you. From my heart to yours, namaste. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.